Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome, especially to our newcomers in the Highland community. As you all have heard, this year's theme is optimism, a theme that's a little different from themes in the past. Perseverance and courage, our two preceding yearly themes, are largely qualities of action, in that you can either choose to show courage and you can persevere, or you choose not to. But at first glance, optimism is a little different. It seems to be something intrinsic, in that you are either an optimist by nature or you aren't. But if there is one message that I can impart on all of you today, it's the following. Optimism, too, can be a choice. So choose it. As I sat down to write this speech, the first thing that came to my mind was actually what optimism isn't. Ask a steadfast pessimist about what they think of when they think of optimism, and you would probably get an answer that revolves around chasing unrealistic goals or a sense of naivete, if not both. And it is true, no one likes optimism ad nauseum. But chasing unrealistic goals and a sense of naivete don't necessarily characterize optimism. There is, you could say, an effective optimism. The idea not of a naive pursuit towards an unobtainable goal, but rather that any goal is within your reach. Every single person in this room has at least one goal that they can be effectively optimistic about this year. The great thing is, none of you are alone in this goal. Look around the room and you could probably find at least one other person who has the exact same goal as you do. If I were to say, for example, that 3 of my goals for this year were a successful soccer season, getting into my top choice college, and passing my AP Calculus exam, I know a large portion of my senior class alone would share at least one of those goals with me. So is our soccer season going to be successful? Yeah, we like to think so. Will I get into my top choice college? As far as I'm concerned, I have a chance until I get a rejection letter. And will I pass my AP Calculus exam? Okay, to be honest, my fingers were crossed on that one, but you get the idea. Now, do I know for a fact that any of those things will actually happen? No, of course not. There's no way to. But I choose to be optimistic about them because I know that each one of them is well within my reach. Again, I urge everyone to make this same choice. Optimism is at its best when everyone in a group adheres to it. We've all been in groups where that one person, the proverbial Johnny Raincloud, takes everyone's combined optimism and brings it down with a critical remark or a snide comment. Don't be that person, especially not here, in a Highland community that is so full of people who are just the opposite. People who do their very best to foster optimism no matter what the circumstances. On our soccer team, for example, that's Eddie Campbell, who always has a smile on his face, whether in practice, in the huddle, in the game, or just in the hallways. In our calculus class, that's our teacher, Ms. Corcoran herself. Ms. Corcoran exudes resilience and that steadfast optimism, challenging us to tackle problems and concepts again and again. But those are just 2 examples out of many at Highland, and this is the year that many becomes the norm. Now, the rest of this address I'm going to dedicate to the leaders of the student body, my fellow seniors. As a class that can boast both 1/3 of its members on honor roll, as well as 17 potential college-bound athletes, we have a lot to be optimistic about. And that is something that collectively we must all embrace. Because with this optimism comes a responsibility to the school. Every year at Convocation, the seniors' ability to set the tone for the entire school is restated in some way. And this year, with a theme like optimism, that ability is more important than ever. Imagine for a second an entire senior class that makes a conscious decision to be optimistic, to exude confidence, to be friendly and approachable, and to be encouraging towards their peers. Now, imagine if that same sense of optimism set by the senior class trickles down all the way to the kindergartners. That would make for a truly remarkable school, a truly remarkable school year. So with that, I challenge our students and our faculty, both incoming and returning, to be optimistic about themselves and their abilities, optimistic about their peers, optimistic about their goals, and optimistic about their chances to be the very best in what they do. As the writer Thomas Friedman once said, pessimists are almost always right. But every great change that has ever been accomplished has been accomplished by an optimist. So with optimism as our guiding principle, this year has the promise to be filled with great change. Of this, I'm not only optimistic, but I already know it to be the case. Thank you.